Thank you, Isabella. It is not by chance that you have arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so you began seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to possibilities of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home. Welcome to worship. Good morning, all. My name is Lee Kerfist, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Huntington. This is our dual platform Sunday service. It is good to be together. Our service today focuses on our newest members who have signed the book before or during the COVID-19 pandemic. We are live and in person in our main hall in Huntington. And whether you are streaming us live on Zoom or Facebook or watching us later on YouTube, know that you are welcome here. Today is a Sunday program committee service. Our interim minister, Reverend Dr. Deborah Hafner, leads 3 Sunday services a month and will be in the pulpit next Sunday. If you are new to our congregation and want to speak with someone to learn more about us, please contact us by email at office@uufh.org. That's office@uufh.org. We'll also put this information in the chat during the service as well. Know that whoever you are, whomever you love, and wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. Following today's service, we have a continuation of last week's postcard writing and in the spirit of nonpartisanship, these cards will go out to marginalized voters to provide them with information on the voting process. So please see Nikki Willard in the social hall after the service. Today at 2 p.m., the Huntington Interfaith Collaboration for the Environment will be organizing a beach cleanup at West Neck Beach in Lloyd Harbor. As you probably know, it is time for our 6th annual pumpkin patch. So Tuesday, October 4th will be the setup day, with a rain date for Wednesday, October the 5th. Saturday, October 8th will be the unloading and the beginning of the pumpkin sales, which will run from October 8th through October the 31st. Sales will take place on weekends from weekdays from 12 noon to sunset, and on weekends from 10 a.m. to sunset. Sign-up sheets are available in the social hall, or you can speak to Debbie Cohn, Peggy Coolius, or Amy Olander, better known as our Pumpkin Queens. Are you caring for a spouse, parent, child, or other person who may have demanding needs? The pastoral care team is organizing a support group for those in the role of caregiver. If this describes you, you're invited to join the group, which will meet monthly to give encouragement and information to those who bear the heavy load of caring for a loved one. For more information, please contact Sue McGovern at suemcgovern45@gmail.com if you are interested. That's suemcgovern45@gmail.com. Next week's service, October the 9th, will be our observation of Indigenous Peoples Day, and we will explore our UU history with Native Americans. For other fellowship matters, including our Give to Grow garden, coffee with Reverend Deborah Hafner, volunteer opportunities, our gallery programs, and of course, much, much more, please check out the weekly fellowship flash or go to our website, uufh.org. And now is the time for the lighting of our chalice, which is the symbol of our faith. And I would like to invite the Otten family to come and join me and light our chalice. This light we kindle is in the lamp of our history. We inherit this free faith from the brave and the gentle, the fierce and outspoken hearts and minds that have come before us. So let us be worthy inheritors of this faith, and through our good works, pass it boldly to a new generation. Now, please join me in saying our mission statement, and the words will be on the screen. In religious community, we nurture our individual spirits and caring for one another and helping to heal the world. And now let's enjoy a short video story for all ages entitled Friendship Soup.
So we're gonna make a bowl of soup.
Wait, like a real bowl of soup?
Actually, what we're making is friendship soup. Do you know what friendship soup is?
Ingredients in soup. What's the ingredients in your
You're mixing
friends?
together all of your steps.
So how do we make friendship soup?
So you buy the jar at the store.
I don't think friendship soup is something you can buy.
Seriously?
Seriously. We're gonna make it right here. See this pot? Just tell me what to add.
Okay. My recipe for friendship, I would use like 2 sticks of kindness. We probably have a gallon of goofiness. Like 3 cups of having fun.
jealousy, you don't need barely any.
You don't
You don't need any.
3 pints of honesty, and you stir them all together.
How would you describe honesty?
Honesty is just being honest to your friends, like not lying to be cool or like them. Just be yourself so they can like you for who you are.
Does being honest lead to another ingredient?
A teaspoon of arguments.
Oh, that can get sticky. What goes well with that?
3 tablespoons of respect. I would add 1.5 cups of safety.
And a cup of trust.
How would you explain trust?
Trust is definitely something where like I could go up to you and tell you something that I've never told anybody else and like trust you to be there for me.
This is great. Let's write this down. Our recipe for friendship soup included 2 sticks of kindness, 1 gallon goofiness, 3 cups of having fun, 3 pints of honesty, 1 little teaspoon of those sticky arguments, 3 tablespoons of respect, 1.5 cups safety, and 1 cup of trust. What ingredients have you been putting in your friendship soup?
And now let us join in singing our children to their religious education classes, and the words will be on the screen. And now please join me in the singing of Spirit of Life, and this will be followed by a brief period of silence and prayer. The words will be on the screen. Spirit of life and love, we are here because we believe what we do matters. We are here because we believe how we live our life matters. That with every act of kindness or meanness, courage or fear, love or hate, we are weaving the fabric of the universe that holds us all. We are here because we need encouragement, because we need strength, because so often we get distracted. We get in a rush. We don't think. We choose the easy way when the harder path is what our spirits truly long for. We are here because none of us is perfect, but together we inspire one another to try again, to take another step. We are here because we have felt the stirrings of love and grace in our hearts and hands, and we crave more of that for ourselves, and not only for ourselves, for everyone. We are here because how we live matters. Blessed be. Our thoughts and prayers this morning are with new members Connie and John Sorsher, who were supposed to be part of this morning's service, but Connie's mother, Luisa Rinaldi, passed away suddenly on Friday. Arrangements are pending at this time. It is with sadness that we report that longtime member and fellowship gallery coordinator Connie Schwartz has passed away in hospice care. We have this note from her daughter, Leslie. I just wanted to share that my mom, UU member Connie Schwartz, died peacefully this morning, October 1st at 10:40 a.m. I was by her side. The funeral will be held at Gutterman's Funeral Home, 8000 Jericho Turnpike in Woodbury on Friday, October 7th at 10 a.m. Our thoughts and prayers this morning are also with the people of South Florida who were impacted by Hurricane Ian. Our families and friends who are living there, as well as the members of the UU congregation of both Fort Myers and Venice, which sustained considerable damage. May they be well. May they feel the love that surrounds them. Now let us take a moment to give thanks for the blessings emerging even now. We close with a few more breaths in silence. May it be so. Amen.
Good morning. My name is Laura, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about myself, and then Graham will do the same. I'm originally from Richmond, Virginia. I actually attended the UU fellowship there when I was very young, and then had a brief stint in the Episcopalian church with my father and my stepmother. In about middle school or high school, I realized that wasn't quite for me. Every Sunday, I was standing up saying words that I realized I did not quite believe in. After that, I didn't feel like I had any place at all. It's hard to grow up in adolescence, kind of questioning things and not feeling like there's a religious community that welcomes that and accepts it. So I fell off. I ended up coming up here to attend NYU for my master's of social work and became a social worker. So I was living my values, living my morals. If you read the code of ethics for social work, they'll seem familiar to you all. They sound like our principles. And I worked for a time in New York City, working with the street homeless population, severely mentally ill people, people struggling with substance use. When I moved out to the island, I worked with the Family Service League in a shelter for homeless people. I was the director there. A few years ago, I started my own private practice called Therapy for Motherhood. So you can guess what that's about. I work with pregnant and postpartum women as well as their partners, anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, trauma, things like that. I love what I do. Graham is the one who suggested that we check out this fellowship. And the more I read about, the more I realized I actually had what I had been looking for this whole time. Just, I should have gone back in Richmond when I was an adolescent to that congregation. My mother is still a member there. And there's a UU fellowship in the city as well. I'm just glad that I found you all at this point in my life when I have young children. Coming here and having the children participate in the RE program brings me such happiness. I think it was last week, my daughter Millie said, "Mom, you say that every week," because here I am in the car saying, "I'm so happy you love fellowship. I'm so glad you enjoy it so much." And she's like, eye roll, "Mom." But it does, any parent here can tell you, when you see your child love something that you feel very proud of, it means the world to you. Coming to this fellowship, realizing that we can join a community that holds the same morals and values that we want to instill in our children. So it's not just us telling them, do good, be good, challenge yourself. It's okay to have faults. They can, help you grow. You all are telling that to them too. Help others in need. Don't be judgmental. Like, we're all connected here. Take care of our planet, our environment. It's so wonderful to have this rhythm and ritual in our week to come here on Sunday mornings. I would say that the principle that stands out to me the most is that first principle. When I started doing the social work internships in the city is when my notion of good people, bad people, do good things, don't be a bad person, all got uprooted with realizing that every single person has worth and dignity. And who am I to judge? Working with people who have been through so much and who are just trying to survive was a humbling experience for me. And I want to live those values today. So I'm thrilled to be part of this fellowship. I want to continue to give back. You all have been nothing but welcoming to us. It was a challenge coming in at a time of COVID with virtual and masks. I feel like I'm being reintroduced to people with the mask coming off in the social hall. But it's been fun. There's been a lot of laughs too, loving going out in the garden and on the grounds. And we are just thrilled to be here. So thank you for having me. And I can't wait to continue to grow with you and to watch my children grow up with you. So thank you for taking care of them too.
That's tough to follow. I'll keep it brief though, because I echo everything that Laura shared, especially about our kids. We really do feel so grateful to share them with you and see how all the RE teachers take such good care of them and instill these wonderful values in them. My name is Graham Otten. I grew up on Long Island in Valley Stream, so South Shore. Laura and I met in college down in Virginia, and I like to think that I scooped her out of Dixie and brought her up here. I'm an English teacher. I've been an English teacher. This is my 12th year. I'm the department chair at New Hyde Park Memorial High School. It's in the Swanica School District. It's a great job because I get to do some administrative work with teachers on curriculum and professional development, but I also still get to teach. I teach two 11th grade English classes. So we're already kind of gearing up for the Regents. So keep my students in here, thoughts and prayers. I'm also working on my dissertation. I guess I'll share. That's like one of the main things in my life right now is working on my dissertation for my Ed.D. And I was kind of, well, hoping to finish in the spring. Laura's kind of insisting that I finish in the spring. So I guess I'll be finishing in the spring. And one of the theorists who informs my work is John Dewey, who I'm sure many know. And one of the quotes that comes down to us, he didn't say it exactly this way, but it's the way it's popularized, is that he says, education is not preparation for life, but it's life itself. And I think about that every day in my classroom. I think there are some echoes of that here. And when Jim was so kind to invite us to speak here, and he asked us to think about speak maybe a little bit about which principle is the most resonant for us in our lives, my mind went to the seventh principle, because this interdependent web, to respect this interdependent web of existence, and sort of the corollary that follows there is that we sort of create the conditions of heaven and hell on earth, like the way we treat others and the way that we relate to not just other people, but our entire existence. We have these conditions that are of our own making, and that spoke to me because I grew up in a faith tradition that was very much focused on what comes next. And that just didn't seem right to me when I consider the constellation of factors that have come together across a span of some 14 billion years, that maybe I have 70 or 80, if I'm lucky, of consciousness, of life, of the opportunity to experience and appreciate beauty, to build meaningful interpersonal relationships. I echo everything that Lee said at the beginning of the service. Salvation in this world, life itself, being here is a piece of that for me. Not to prepare for something else, but to be in community with those who share our values. It's very special to us. And so thank you for welcoming us so warmly over this last year or so. It's great to be here with you all. Thanks.
Thanks, Lauren, Graham, and welcome. Each month, we split the weekly collection with a nonprofit or charity. This month, we are supporting the Refugee Resettlement Fund, led by Temple Beth El. The information is on the screen and in the fellowship flash. This is an important effort to assist in hosting and resettling a family from Ukraine. And funding is a very key issue because the host community needs to raise enough funds to support a family for 3 to 6 months before that family can be assigned a home. Also, this is the last Sunday we'll be collecting for this cause, so please give generously as you are able. Now I need your help. So I'd like you all to stand as you are able and join me in a responsive reading. The words will be on the screen. You don't like responsive reading. Responsive reading runs contrary to everything you believe as a Unitarian Universalist, because instead of formulating your own thoughts and opinions in your own unique way, you simply repeat words that I have chosen for you. Look, I can make you moo like a cow, or bleat like a sheep. So repeat after me. I will never, ever mindlessly repeat words that someone else has chosen for me. And I will always take charge of my own thoughts by formulating them in my own unique way. Well done. Thank you.
I was warned a long time ago, never follow children if you're performing, but nothing about responsive readings. So when Jim asked me if I'd be interested in speaking at this service about my relationship with the fellowship and what it has meant to me, my first thought was absolutely, but I'll need at least an hour. As I've been accused of being verbose and wordy and redundant and sometimes repetitive. But don't worry, I've edited myself down. For those of you who don't yet know me, I'll start by mentioning that my entire career has been make-believe. Not that it didn't really happen, but that it has been devoted to creating the make-believe worlds of theater and television. I've always been proud of what I do and of the fact that entertainment has the power to bring people together. This became even clearer to me during the worst of the pandemic when so many of us were stuck in our homes. It also became clearer to me over the past 2.5 years that what really matters is actual real-life connections. Virtual communities may have value, but they are no substitute for the real thing. I'll back up a few years and mention that I grew up in a nominally Jewish household in Brooklyn. Like many, I rarely attended synagogue after my bar mitzvah. My friendships by then revolved around much more important things, like Little League Baseball and Star Trek, to name just two. But the shared history of the Jewish community stayed with me, and I was proud of it. I was the lone Jewish player on the Sacred Heart St. Stephen's Parish baseball team in the CYO. For those of you who may not be familiar, the CYO is the Catholic youth organization, and at least in the 1970s held sway over much of working class Brooklyn and Queens. I've wondered more than once how many eyebrows were raised by the 1973 article in The Tablet, which was the newspaper of the Brooklyn Archdiocese, about the rare no-hitter pitched by Sacred Heart's pitcher, David Cohen. Yes, I know, I peaked early. But the lesson for me, for young me, was that even though all of my friends were Catholic, and many of them were very, very Catholic, we bonded over baseball, and the differences really didn't matter. Jumping ahead a few years, well, 40 years or so, my partner and I left the city 3.5 years ago and moved here. We searched far and wide, and we're happy to have found Huntington. Unlike many parts of Long Island, the community felt right to us. So many restaurants, the bookstore, hopefully about to be reborn, the arts organizations. I laughed at the nickname, the Little Apple, but I've come to believe that I think it's fair. Our search for friends and community was interrupted by the pandemic, but we stuck with it. Even though we started with Zoom, we immediately felt at home with the fellowship. I can't say for certain what exactly I was looking for personally in the fellowship, but I can say for certain exactly what I found. Without exaggeration, I can say that it saved me. And when I say it, of course, I mean you, the people that make it up. When I recently faced unexpected trauma and upheaval and the sudden ending of the partnership that brought me here, you were there for me. When I didn't know which way to turn, you were there for me. Advice, suggestions, literally a place to stay, or just someone willing to listen. I found it here. One of the prompts for figuring out what to say here today had me rereading the 7 principles, I guess soon to be 8 principles of the UU. Forced to choose, I kept landing on number 2, justice, equity, and compassion and human relations. My thought is that if you can display these precepts when interacting with other people, the other principles will follow. So thank you for the opportunity to share what has brought me here, and more importantly, to share what will keep me here. I still find myself unexpectedly, frighteningly at a personal crossroads. What has made it bearable is knowing and feeling that I have a community with me, and know that when I am strong again, I'll be here for you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Often people say that they love coming to a place with so many like-minded people. I know just what they're getting at. And I also know they're not quite getting it right. I don't want to be with a bunch of people who think just like me. I want to be in beloved community where I don't have to think like everyone else to be loved. to be eligible for salvation. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, and truth, though they have different thoughts and opinions about all sorts of things. I want to be with independent-minded people of good heart. I want to be with people who have many names and no name at all for God. I want to be with people who see me in my goodness and dignity, but who also see my failings and my foibles and who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all existence and let it guide their footfalls upon the earth. I want to be with people who see life as a paradox and don't always rush to solve it. I want to be with people who are willing to walk the tightrope that is life and who will hold my hand as I walk mine. I want to be with people who let church call them into a different way of being in the world. I want to be with people who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to higher and more ethical living. I want to be with people who inspire one another to follow the call of the Spirit. I want to be with people who covenant to be honest, engaged, and kind, and who strive to keep their promises and hold me to the promises I make. I want to be with people who give of themselves, who share their hearts and minds and gifts. I want to be with people who know human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people like you.
Good morning. I am Nancy Wilco, and I can say, I think I speak for both Larry and I, we are tickled pink to be back with all of you. We are so appreciative of Jim to ask us to tell our story today. So I am a retired JetBlue flight attendant, and I was brought up Congregationalist.
And I'm a retired social worker, and I was brought up in a Jewish household.
Yeah.
How we found the UUFH was we had reached a point in time where our daughter was 4 years old and Nancy was pregnant with our son. There came the time to find some place where we could bring them up spiritually and religiously. So I was reading the New York Times, and I read an article about a couple that was involved in an adoption. They were adopting a child, and they had to come up with a way to explain to the judge how they were going to raise the child religiously. And they came up with Unitarian Universalism. Now, this is something I never heard of. So I showed the article to my wife.
And I called 411 information and asked, do you have a Unitarian Universalist church? And she said, yes, we do. So she gave me Bayshore. I spoke to the minister there, who, when he found out that we had young children, he recommended that we should go to Huntington because they had a larger complement of young families with children. So I called, spoke to Carol Oborski, who was the office administrator at that time. I'm sure many of you remember her. And she so sweetly spoke to me and put me on the phone with Bruce Marshall, the minister at that time. Bruce was very sweet and offered to come to our home, and we live about 25 minutes outside of Huntington, and come to our home, sat at our dining room table, and spent several hours filling us in on Unitarian Universalism and what the fellowship was like. The rest is history, because here we are today.
Just as an aside, after we had started coming here, I discovered that my father, who was dating a woman in Northport, had been attending the UUFH, and we're surprised to hear that we were coming here. And we were surprised to hear that he had been here. We didn't know that.
What brought us here was the ability to worship as a family, given the fact that Larry was Jewish and I was Congregationalist, and we were looking for a place to raise our children. What brought us back was the desire to have a spiritual home in which we can worship together.
The same ability to worship together and be with like-minded individuals who feel and think the way we do regarding religious and social issues was very important to us and did lead us back. Well, the fourth principle of Unitarian Universalism, I feel, is what speaks to me the most. That's a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. What I like is the fact that there is no authoritative dogma that dictates what you must believe. You're free to be what you want and believe what you like.
The seventh principle speaks deeply to me. Respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. That principle was never more evident to me as when a beloved member of our congregation, Perry Gardner, was nearing the end of his life. We, the members of this community, took turns spending time with Perry, talking with him, reading to him, and taking care of him. That time gave Perry's wife, Bonnie, some much needed time to herself and gave us the ability to make some wonderful memories with Perry. That experience showed me how we are all a part of the interdependent web of existence, of which I feel very lucky to be a part. As we mentioned earlier, we raised our children here, Nicole and Matthew. Nikki feels so connected to the UUFH that she was not only married here several years ago, but next Sunday, she and her husband, Donald, are flying across the country. They currently live in Texas, to have their daughter, Colette, dedicated here by Reverend Deborah. We are very excited to be back. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy and Larry. And now I invite you all to watch our closing video called Everyday People.
Sometimes I'm right and I can be wrong. My own beliefs are in my songs. Butcher, the baker, the drummer, and then makes no difference what group I'm in.
But sometimes I'm right and I can be wrong. My own beliefs are in my song. The butcher, the banker, the drummer, and then it makes no difference what group I'm in. 'Cause I
In extinguishing the chalice, I'd like to invite the vocals to come up and extinguish that for me. And we'll leave you with these words. May we leave this place seeking an uncharted and freely chosen way to wholeness, knowing that we have companions along the way. Please rise as you're able and join in singing a reprise of Getting to Know You. Thank you, Isabella. And until we meet again, may you all go in peace. Oh, coffee and conversation in the social hall, don't forget.